Aria Khan was never the favorite child. In a family that measured worth by money, luxury, and status, she was the quiet one, the one who spoke more to machines than people. Her father often said, "You'll never understand the real world until you stop living in your computer." He was wrong. That old laptop was her world. It was the one thing that had seen her dreams, her tears, and the sleepless nights of code and secrets she could never share. Its silver edges were chipped, its screen slightly cracked, and the battery died if you looked at it wrong, but it held something beyond imagination. Hidden in its encrypted memory were protected government files worth over $42 million. Part of a cybersecurity project Aria had designed for the Defense Ministry. She was one of the few trusted with that data, and she guarded it like her soul, but her family never knew that. To them, it was just a useless, broken laptop cluttering her desk. One morning, after a heated argument about Aria's obsession with dead technology, her father stormed into her room. "You need to grow up, Aria," he snapped, unplugging the dusty charger. "Nobody wants this junk. I'll get rid of it today." Aria barely looked up. Lost in another screen, she thought he meant throw it away. She didn't realize he'd already listed it online. By the evening, it was gone, sold for $500 cash to a man she'd never met. When she walked into her room and saw the empty space where her laptop had always sat, her heart dropped. "Dad, where's my laptop?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Oh, that thing, sold it," he replied casually. "Some collector wanted it for parts. Be happy now you can buy a new one." For a few seconds, she couldn't breathe. Her mind froze, her heartbeat pounded in her ears. She tried to explain, words tripping over each other, about encryption, security, and government clearance. But her father laughed it off. "Aria, stop being dramatic. You're lucky someone even paid for that trash." That night, she sat in her room in silence, staring at the blank space on her desk. Her chest burned with panic, her eyes stung with tears she refused to shed. The laptop wasn't just hers, it was everything she had built, everything she had sworn to protect. She whispered to herself in the dark, "You didn't just sell my laptop, you sold my life." The morning after her father sold the laptop, Aria woke up with swollen eyes and a cold, hollow feeling in her chest. Sleep had abandoned her. She sat at her desk, staring at the empty spot where her world used to live. Her fingers shook as she opened her email, searching for the backup keys, the trace logs, anything. But her encryption network had gone offline hours ago. The device that contained the $42 million in protected government files was now out there, unguarded. She tried to steady her breathing. Maybe the buyer hadn't touched it yet. Maybe it could still be recovered. Her father's voice echoed from the living room. "Aria, stop pacing around. I told you it's gone. You'll get over it." But she didn't get over it. She couldn't. Every hour that passed felt like a blade twisting deeper into her chest. By noon, she found the online listing her father had used. The name of the buyer was Zahir. No address, no phone number, just a message thread. But when she opened the conversation history, her heart froze. The buyer had written, "Ensure the laptop hasn't been opened recently. I'm paying in cash, no questions asked." Cash. No questions, something wasn't right. Aria's instincts screamed danger. She dug deeper, tracing the digital footprint from the listing site. Within minutes, she found a connected account, linked to an IP address she recognized. It wasn't random. It belonged to a shell company used by a cybercrime syndicate that had tried to breach her research 6 months ago. Her blood ran cold. It wasn't a coincidence. The buyer had known exactly what he was purchasing. Her broken laptop wasn't junk to him. It was a treasure chest of secrets. She called her father immediately, her voice breaking. "Dad, listen to me. That laptop wasn't just mine, it contained government data. You have no idea what you've done." He laughed nervously. "Government data. Aria, stop making excuses. "You're just embarrassed," she whispered, trembling. "You sold it for $500. Do you even realize what's inside it?" But he didn't believe her. None of them did. Her mother said she was overreacting, her brother mocked her obsession, and her father told her to learn to let go. By evening, she sat alone on her balcony, the city lights blurring through her tears. The people she trusted most had traded her future for pocket money and laughed while doing it. That night, she received an encrypted message from an unknown number. "You should have protected it better, Aria. We'll be in touch." Her breath caught. Her laptop had fallen into the hands of the very people she'd sworn to stop, and now they knew her name. For 3 days, Aria barely spoke a word. She didn't cry anymore. The tears had dried into something sharper, something cold. Her family moved around the house pretending everything was fine, but she could feel the guilt in the air, thin and invisible like smoke. They avoided her eyes, too proud to admit what they'd done. But Aria didn't need their apologies anymore. She needed answers and revenge. In the solitude of her room, she powered up her custom-built system, a machine so heavily encrypted it could trace ghosts across the web. She connected it to a secure government node, overriding every firewall between her and the stolen files. The name Zahir kept appearing, and behind it, she found the truth she dreaded. He wasn't just a collector. He was an intermediary for a black market day, a syndicate that had been hunting her project for months. And someone inside her home had helped them. When she accessed the metadata from the sale listing, she saw a secondary login, a familiar one. Her brother's. He had been the one who answered the buyer's message. He'd even sent extra photos of the laptop to sweeten the deal. Aria felt her heart twist. She remembered how he'd smirked when she'd begged their father to find the buyer. Now she understood why. Her hands trembled on the keyboard. They didn't just betray me, they sold me. She began her silent war that night. No shouting, no confrontations, only code, her language of justice. For the next week, Aria created digital traps disguised as recovery pings. Each trace led her deeper into the syndicate's network, each bite bringing her closer to Zahir. And then, one midnight, she broke through. Her laptop, her precious broken machine, had been accessed. Files were being duplicated. But what Zahir didn't know was that Aria had left a hidden protocol, one that would alert her if anyone breached the encryption. She smiled for the first time in days. The moment he opened those files, a tracer was activated, feeding her his location, his devices, his entire operation. But her revenge wasn't only for them. It was for her family too, the ones who traded her life for $500. She quietly started building digital mirrors of their bank accounts, phone records, private chats, every lie they'd ever told. When she saw her brother's messages to Zahir, the jokes, the negotiations, her vision blurred with rage. "Money," he had written, "that's all I care about. She won't even notice it's gone." Aria whispered to herself, "You'll regret every word." The girl they'd ignored was gone. In her place stood something far more dangerous, a woman who knew how to destroy, silently. Her war had begun. Aria didn't sleep for days. Her room became her command center, screens flickering in the darkness, lines of code cascading like falling rain. Every keystroke was a heartbeat, every command a silent promise. The world thought she was broken. Her family thought she was defeated. They were all wrong. It began with a small leak, a security alert spreading across the dark web. The syndicate's hidden accounts started flashing red. Their firewall was collapsing, and behind every collapsing node was her signature, AC 404. Zahir's empire fell apart in hours. His stolen databases were corrupted, his encrypted drives wiped. When he tried to open the stolen government files, the virus Aria had planted ignited, burning through every trace of his operation. The same laptop they had bought for $500 now destroyed millions of dollars worth of stolen data. Aria sent one final transmission before erasing his network entirely. You paid $500 for a war you could never win. But her revenge wasn't complete yet. The syndicate was finished. Now it was time for her family to see what their greed had cost. At dawn, she uploaded an anonymous report to the Federal Cyber Bureau. The evidence contained everything: her father's transaction logs, her brother's messages to the buyer, and the proof of their involvement in unauthorized data transfer. Within a week, officials arrived. There were no arrests. Aria had made sure they'd only be questioned, but the scandal was enough. Her father's business reputation shattered, her brother's job suspended. The people who once laughed at her now couldn't even meet her eyes. When her mother finally came to her room, voice trembling, she said, "Aria, what have you done?" Aria turned from her screen, calm and distant. "What you taught me," she said softly. "You told me everything has a price, now you've paid yours." She left home that evening, walking down the same road her father had once driven to sell her laptop. The air was cold, but her heart felt lighter. The government restored her project, rewarded her bravery in securing the data, and offered her a new position, this time leading her own team. She never looked back at that house again. In her new office, she placed an old USB drive beside her desk, the last surviving piece of the laptop that once held her world. Every time the sunlight hit it, she remembered the lesson carved into her heart. They thought they sold a laptop, but they sold their own blood, and I never forgot the price.